Okay, so we're really excited about this webinar today because we get to talk with one of the most prolific investors in the cannabis space and with cannabis retailers, Patrick Rea, with Poseidon. He's the managing director of the Poseidon Garden Fund. And we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, but particularly focusing in on AI, cannabis investing, and the future of retail. But for those of you who are joining who have never heard of Happy Cabbage and what we do, let's give you a quick rundown about what we're here to talk about. So Happy Cabbage helps retailers stock what sells. And there are a lot of people out there, a lot of companies out there that talk to helping you with your inventory. But our platform is different because it actually helps retail buyers get the job done quickly. And that is one of the most important aspects of how we operate is like obsessing about buyers, the world they live in, the problems they have to face every single day, and trying to do whatever we can to liberate them out of their spreadsheets so that our platform can help them with data-driven menu planning, ordering, and inventory budgeting. So essentially, stock smarter, grow faster, right? Like the idea here is that when you're operating out of spreadsheets, there's just limitations to how the spreadsheet operates, how the human brain operates that prevents you from getting as accurate as you'd like to be. And that little inaccuracy, maybe 20 to 30%, can rack up in cash that just gets locked on your shelves and it's not available for you to use to actually grow. So, we have to fight, contraction in the market. We have to fight a lot of competition. We have to fight 280E as a retailer. Like you need as much cash liquid and ready to use at your disposal as possible so that you can actually grow. And the retailers who work with us are opening new stores. They are not closing them. Because the amount of cash we're finding on their shelves is up to $150,000 over 3 months of just overstocked and aging inventory. And the amount of time we're saving on those buyers' plate is 10 hours a week, not in spreadsheets. So if you really love being in spreadsheets and don't want to have a lot of cash flow, then more probably not for you. But for everyone else, we are the only inventory retail tool specifically built to help cannabis buyers. A couple other things that our platform helps you to solve for. So I talked about overstock and aging inventory. We also help you reduce your days of supply on hand by 40%, 17 days less than what you're currently doing. An 11% reduction in your total SKU count, but 14% in slow moving SKUs. So, some slow moving SKUs you'll want to keep on your shelves, but most of them are just taking up space, locking up your cash. And then as they get old, you have to discount them deeply. And that doesn't result in higher margins. We have a lot of customers who have used our platform who speak so highly of it. Here's a collection of them. I want to punch one of these out in particular because I'm talking about liberation of spreadsheets. Andrew Rodriguez of Sonoran Roots actually said on our webinar when we had him on that he does not use his spreadsheet at all. A lot of people use Happy Buyers with a little bit of spreadsheet work on the side. But if you want to get completely out of the spreadsheet, we're the way to go. You can check out all of these different retailers online, reach out to them and ask them how they like the product and see if they're if it's something you want to check out as well. The way we do this is by integrating into your POS data and then running deep AI algorithms on that data that you can't possibly do yourself within a spreadsheet. And we integrate with the top POS systems in the nation, Dutchie, Flowhub, Blaze, and Trees. If you're on these POSs, you can work on Happy Buyers and we can start saving you some money and getting you out of your spreadsheets right away. We also have a 14-day free trial, so you don't have to take our word for it. Just come check it out. You can use live store data. You can actually start saving money today. You can start making reorder decisions for 14 days without paying us a dime. Most likely in that 14 days, you're going to save enough money that it pays for our entire year subscription. So there's a lot that happens in that 14 days. You're going to get a lot of value out of it. And we are so confident in the power of this platform that we don't mind giving you that value for free because 80% of the people who come into our trial are going to become customers. That's just how powerful it is and how we stand by what it does. So you can check out our 14-day free trial on our website, sign up for it. And once you sign up for the free trial, we will also give you a free inventory audit and tell you just how much damage exists within the store on overstocked and aging inventory, what your discount percentages look like, your margins, and what the total cash impact is that we can save you. And if just for whatever reason, the 14-day free trial is an ask too large, you can actually get a free inventory audit as well before you even sign up. So you can come to our site, get a free inventory audit. We'll show you exactly how much is going on, and then you can sign up for a free trial if you like. Doesn't matter which order you're going to do it in, because if you do these things, you're going to want to sign up for Happy Buyers. Oh, so without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to these guys.
I always want to buy it. Your infomercials are great, Brad. I guess I shouldn't call them an infomercial, but you do the pitch well. It's your sham wow moment in there.
Thank you very much.
um, Patrick, I was thinking about this morning. I was kind of doing like the last minute post, which like just had me reflecting on like, when did I first meet Patrick? How long have I known Patrick? And you're definitely the first cannabis investor I met in the space. So I've literally known you the entire time I've worked in this industry, and technically just like a hair before. Because I met you at a Denver startup event that wasn't even cannabis specific, but it was like a Denver pitch event. I feel like that was just like a speed
Yeah.
pitch. Get up and do like a 90-second pitch about your product,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah. You had a what, like a high top table
Yeah, yeah.
with a
Yep.
drape on it and a
Yep.
computer, and you were pitching, and
Yep.
I came up and listened to it, and I think we had a pretty good conversation about what we thought about how, technology was going to
Yep.
interact with the cannabis industry over time. And yeah, that was a good long time ago, wasn't it?
That was a decent amount of time ago. It's good that we're both still here doing it, but I think for anybody that doesn't know your name there, look up Patrick. Like you'll find tons of information. You'll find tons of data he's publishing, other webinars he's on there. But from the early Canopy Boulder days, you've touched basically every segment of startups that exist inside cannabis, right? From tech companies to brands. I remember even Canopy had some brands come through
Hmm.
there, some of the drink
Hmm.
beverage companies that went on to be very, very
Hmm.
successful.
Hmm.
A lot of the tech, unfortunately, some of it not around, a lot of it's still around, or I don't know if a lot, but definitely some of it's
Well,
still around, some of the bigger tech companies as well. And then, now through like Poseidon, where you're getting into retail in there. So you've touched it all.
yeah, it's been quite a journey. I mean, I think, back, I was talking to somebody today who's developing an AI platform for the cannabis industry. It's kind of interesting. But I was giving a little bit of my background, and I started work on this in 2013. That's when I was working in the natural products industry. So everything you could buy at a Whole Foods or a GNC or a Wild Oats back in the day, and all those sort of preferred alternative products, the products that were better than the market standard. And I saw this cannabis industry developing in our backyard. Colorado was on the verge of opening up an adult use market in January of 14, and started leaning in. And these are very efficacious products and solved a lot of like problems in ways that felt like preferred to the market alternatives, right? So,
Mhm.
whether that's pharmaceuticals or what other substance that you were using, and it just felt like there was some real great tight feedback loop in consumption. You consume, feel a good experience, and then that tight feedback loop is something hard to find outside of,
Mhm.
other substances that cross the blood-brain barrier like caffeine or alcohol. So yeah, it was really compelling, and that started the journey with Canopy Boulder, where I ran an incubator and business accelerator. We launched and helped launch 100 companies, invested in all of them, and yeah, it's a couple hundred founders, and just got a really like very very lucky to have a front row seat on so many businesses. And since then, that's been what, 12, 11, 12 years. It's evolved, like you said, through brands. And then most recently, we've gotten into investing in stores. And it's been really fun for me to sort of crack open that book, right? And really dig in and try to understand what the important levers are, what you have to set and forget, you know, and then what you can tweak, how often you can tweak that, some of the variable expenses. And with retail, one of the big ones is inventory.
Mhm.
And I think that sort of brought us back together, and I've been able to sit in on your audit calls and the demos, and just sort of be really amazed by what you have built and how you're presenting it and how you're showing value from that first meeting. Even with the people who've been working on that spreadsheet for 6 years, and
They're
they
attached
are
to it. They love it, and
yeah,
we love it.
it's
They've done a
like
great
that is
job.
like who they are, is that
Yep.
darn spreadsheet. And God bless
Yeah.
them. It's super valuable, but it has limitations. And
Yep.
I would encourage anybody out there who is in charge of inventory to sign up for an audit and see
Yeah.
how things, how what Happy Cabbage will find varies from what they have and they see. And I think there's some neat things that you're doing with technology that creates opportunity even beyond that 6-year-old, you know, pivot table,
Yep.
multiple pivot table spreadsheet. That
They're impressive. I mean, I've got some of the most impressive spreadsheets I've ever seen on my desktop right now because they're
yeah.
running 10, 15 locations and a central distribution off a spreadsheet that sometimes won't even open on my laptop. But it's impressive what they've done. It's limiting
Yeah.
that they're boxed in by the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know Brad said this at the top. It's low risk. And I think that's
Yeah.
maybe we'll weave this into your experience. You saw, 100 companies through there. We're definitely one of the few that I've seen like get to the free trial stage. Like I feel like that's something, and everybody's, sensitive to contracts in this space, and everybody's been burned by technology in this space. And there's a lot of promises. And I don't think, I would say I don't think there's necessarily like a lot of fraud out there. I think they're best intention promises, and people are excited about what they can build and what they want to build. And then a lot of times the reality doesn't quite hit. And obviously, we all use technology outside of cannabis, like free trials, try before you buy is just as tried and true as it gets. And I just feel like we don't see it as much in our industry, where we're just like, load up your data, use it.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. Inventory is a big line item in a store's expense set, so it's worth, I think, probing a little bit more. And if you are someone who's managing 15 stores and a spreadsheet that can barely open up on your laptop, I mean, hopefully you're doing a great job, and these businesses are going to grow. And at some point, those spreadsheets won't open up on your
Yeah.
laptop anymore. So you need to like kind of think ahead a couple of steps, but also like, how can you make it more efficient? How could you bring on, 8 more stores and not
Yeah.
have a mental meltdown, or have your laptop meltdown because
Yeah.
it's just like crashing nonstop because of this giant spreadsheet, which is probably incredible, but there might be a better way. And like that conversation I was having with the entrepreneur this morning who's developing this sort of large AI platform for the cannabis industry, he was talking about his trial customers, right? They're saving 3 people per location, but they haven't let anyone go. Now they're like, okay, the management's like, oh, great, we can actually deliver on that sort of promise to the investors that we're going to continue to open up more locations. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you can take out some of the expense, right, you can expand faster
Yeah.
because you're just more powerful. You can do more. And I think that's where people should be approaching AI in their business and their work every day, is like, how does this enable me to do better as a professional, to do more efficiently, and frankly support the strategic direction of my company that I work for or I own. And I
Yeah.
just, I know there's a lot of chatter and there's a lot of fear out there, but this is really powerful stuff. And the people that lean in and become masters of it will hold that power going forward. They're not going to lose it, right?
Right.
It's
Yep.
you still need a lot of expertise in managing inventory as a relationship management as well, and knowing where to push, where to let go, where to like collect those credits, when to redeem them. It's an art as much as it is a science. And like, you guys have done a great job leaning into that.
Thank you. And I mean, I agree with you on the AI. One way that I look at it, because we've had some big like we have it in our product, and we leverage it in a lot of ways. One of the most impactful is like grouping products together, the things that the LLMs are really good at. These products are really, really similar. Look at the naming convention, look at the category, figure out that these are all 1 gram pre-rolls, even though there's 100 different strains, and these are all kind of moving at a similar level. It's great at those kind of things. We also leverage it internally a ton. We do call transcripts. Like I use it in a product sense of, oh, somebody wants an integration. Let me find all the calls where somebody mentioned that. And then let me like review the snippets. And we've been running like our little AI note takers, and like, it can be great at that research, right? For product research. I've been in SaaS products for almost 20 years now, and I think about all the moments where I wish I would have had this. You're 3 years down the road and you've got this big customer CRM base of information, and you're like, I think somebody once said this would be nice. Can I go find them?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
great at
having
those
access
things.
to a library, but not like, how do I find that book?
Yep. Yeah.
And it's just so
Yep.
quick. I mean, we were talking about this before in our pre-call and our back and forth is like, you've got big expenses when you're running a store, but they drop into a number of categories, and you have inventory, you have staffing, and then you have sort of customer acquisition, and you have customer retention outside of rent, which is like, or your mortgage, which like you
Right.
kind of got to set and forget, as painful as it might be as times, but it's very important going in. We're seeing AI and the sort of the approach that Happy Cabbage and Happy Buyers is taking on inventory find its way into all the elements. And I would just encourage, again, everyone to embrace it. We were going back and forth on like one of the things we were talking about what's important in stores, and we were talking about customer acquisition, and like the sort of toolbox or the approach historically has been search engine optimization, right? But now, like, we have AI mode. Okay. So, like, how does SEO fit into like traditional SEO, pages, local pages, product categories, educational content on your dispensary's website? How does that fit into AI mode now?
Yeah.
I mean, and the money that has been pumped into search engine optimization, I'm not by any means saying, hey, stop, like full stop, though some people are. It's now like, how does AI mode impact, or should it inform what we're going to put on our website, and how I should have my SEO firm think about it? What are they thinking about it? How are they tweaking what they do? It's like a great forcing agent to re-investigate, almost re-underwrite everything that you're doing. How can we be doing this in a way that meets the market where it is, right? And the technology that people are engaging with in like a rapid rate. I mean,
I think about that, if we unpack a little bit of the SEO and how does AI impact it, right? Like the classic SEO is like rank for dispensary near me. So if I put that in my phone, if I land in a city, like I type that in, like people were literally renaming their homepage dispensary near. It's like you see so many things that probably actually worked. And if you were wondering, like that looks weird, you're like, it's just for the algorithm, right? There's like weird stuff popping up everywhere for a while.
Yeah.
But I think about how this fits in, to like put it practically, is there's a million uses for AI. It's integrated in our daily lives already, but travel planning has been huge, right? I've used it personally. I see these as use cases all the time where somebody says, I'm traveling to this city, and they're like, AI is helping them plan an itinerary, right? Like, where should I go? And how do I structure my day? And it'll even figure out train times, and it'll be like, if you leave this one for your train ticket, and here's how you get the train ticket. And like, it can do things that take you hours, if not like days, if you plan these big trips. And if you think about like, okay, I'm like Union Station travel agency or U Square travel. I'm just like, I'm picking somebody that's like, in like a kind of tourist hub. You can imagine that like you need ChatGPT, you need the AI to pick that up, to integrate it into an itinerary. That's just like one example of like how like the SEO is different than the AI, because you're having AI plan this, and you might think like, okay, I'm staying here. Like part of that itinerary might be like, hey, like where can I find a pre-roll? Like put that in there, right? Like I'm going to go for my first day walk and take me past this place, and then take me to a consumption lounge, right? The AI has to be able to hit on that to be plugged into itineraries.
Yeah, it's definitely, everything's changing. I mean, like, to bring it back to like what you're doing, or what a general manager or a marketing manager or an inventory manager, or these like key roles in dispensary are doing. There's like always the what, right, that has to happen, but it's sort of like the judgment. Okay, do these tools give me back what's really good, or is it taking me in a weird direction? Like, there's still like, I think, again, there's been a lot of concern. I hear and I read about a lot of concern about like how these AI tools are going to like disintermediate me in my job, and it's going to eliminate my position, and yada yada yada. I think that's like that's like a lot of fear mongering, and I think it's fair. I mean, it's pretty incredible what these tools bring back to us, but still there's like judgment, right? There's a judgment that comes on the results that you're getting back. Are these good or bad? Has this
Right.
just hallucinated and told me to like go buy like 1,000 pre-rolls tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like whoa, whoa, whoa. Like there's still like, the people that work in the industry, they still have a strong internal compass that is going to bridge between what the technology and the tools are telling them and what they have experienced in their store, right? Because no
Hmm.
tool is perfect no matter what, right? So I really like think there's an incredible opportunity, especially as like where we are in the industry, where we haven't had a federal catalyst. There's not a lot of capital flowing
Hmm.
into the industry. That may change, right? You never know. Like obviously things change pretty fast in this industry, but if we are underwriting or we are thinking and planning about our near future, like based on the status quo, what's happening today, what should we understand? We should understand that every business is going to need to get optimized. And we need to be looking into and leveraging every tool we possibly can, every best practice. And the people that are going to keep the seat are going to retain the seat, and where they're going to be given the opportunity to lead growth into more stores, more relationships. They're going to be the people that master and have master the technology and have good judgment regarding how the technology helps them
Hmm.
to run businesses more efficiently, right? Because if 280E doesn't go away and we still have to pay that tax, right? And I know there's a lot of strategies on avoiding it. Um, like these businesses need to grow and be more profitable. Like the price of cannabis is rationalizing, it's not inflationary, right? So then we got to make sure we're managing our expenses down as well. And these
Yep.
tools like Happy Cabbage, if you can save 10 hours a week, right, in your employees' time, what can they be doing with that, right? To
Yep.
make the store experience better, to be more integrated with marketing, like to make everything run more efficiently and
Yep.
more profitably. There you are, right? I mean, it's
Uh,
it's it's not just an expense.
it's interesting. I just came from the exchange in Michigan,
Hmm.
which is one of the best events I've ever been to in the industry from just like business getting done. It's like the speed dating. You get 20 minutes paired up, and it's like
Hmm.
it's a brands and buyers event, right? So it's a lot of the buyers in there, and then you get some tech companies like ourselves that are able to get with the
Hmm.
retailers. And it's interesting because we've been in that market for a little more than a year with our tool. We went to that same event a year ago. And we won some business off it. And we've done really, really well in Michigan just because of the kind of the archetype of Michigan is like these strong mid-market retailers. They're like 10 stores. Like that whole market is
Hmm.
dominated by people with like 10 to 20 stores that are
Hmm.
expanding. They're running really good businesses. And there's a couple of things there that kind of add some like practical examples to what you're saying. One is that a lot of these are expanding stores. They're
Hmm.
also expanding into the headwind of this excise tax that just got passed. So if you didn't need a wake up call about running a lean business, that's a wake up call. Like, guess what? You just have to have more of your revenue out the door, right? By the way, excise tax means hold less inventory. You'll get taxed less. That's like there's a direct correlation there, and if you can reduce your holding costs, it'll literally reduce the tax bill on that. It's not the right time to be holding inventory. But an interesting thing I've seen in that like year plus of working with Michigan operators, this is one slice, one example, is we come in, we're replacing the spreadsheet, or don't take our tool, take any of these tools, any AI replacing a job, as you're saying, anything about this automation. I haven't seen these operators reduce headcount. I haven't
Hmm.
seen us come in and you said this the same thing. They don't just fire three people. They might think that we might get asked that about, oh, you're replacing this or you're replacing that. I think the majority of employees in these operations roles and these buying roles are like overworked to a large extent. They're wearing seven hats. They're butt tending sometimes. They're literally unpacking the physical boxes and putting them in the
Hmm.
vault, right? They're negotiating with the vendors. They're figuring out the menu mix for 12 stores in 12 different parts of the state with different demographics in them and who should stock what. And then every week on Monday and Tuesday, they're having to order $1 million of inventory and get it right and get
Yeah.
the quantity exactly right. Like that's a lot. to ask of a person.
Yeah.
So your question about what do you do with that time is so interesting, because I think when tools like our tool or any automation optimization tool is leveraged well, the smart operators aren't like shrinking back saying, "Oh, I'm going to cut expenses over here." They're cutting important expenses like inventory holding costs. But what they're doing is they're opening 3 stores with
Yeah.
a not linear headcount. And then these people can run
Yep.
more stores, and they've got confidence in how that store is going to be operated. And that's what
Yeah.
we're seeing more often than not, is like, oh, our not only can our people breathe, but now we're able to add more to this existing staff because they're all leveraging tools like ours and others. And I think that's the corollary of AI, right? Is
Yeah.
when used well, we're all overworked. Can we do
Yeah.
more? Can we expand more? Can we grow the business more?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've got 5 stores in New Jersey, 3 in Connecticut, like 14 in California, 7 in, or 14 in Florida, 7 in California. And, when we see happy buyers get integrated, the people that were responsible for inventory management, like they're just more available. Usually they were
Mhm.
like, stay away from
Yeah.
her. She is figuring it out. And it's
Yep.
like, it's like you see somebody locked in cooking,
Yep.
getting it done. And like optimizing your inventory is so important. And you're just like, like you don't need to get that close to the desk to see the freaking spreadsheets spinning and spinning. It's like that, what happy buyers has enabled them to do is to like not be like, stay away from me at
Yep.
all times. It's like,
Yep.
it really does. You see the GMs interact more, the inventory manager get out from the computer and
Yep.
interact with the customers and get that, like, build that judgment,
Mhm.
right? More engagement with the bud tenders, definitely more engagement with like the marketing managers, right? So you can like really get the optimization of the store happening as that team member becomes more available
Yeah.
to
Yeah. I like
the
that.
things that
It's
they
like you
should
can.
be more engaged in.
It's almost it is like the data driven stuff. And like I said, once again, it's like our platform, but it's these AI things. They're going to be better at crunching data than we are. They're going to be better at summarizing data. So it's almost like you can set it, and we have human biases that sneak in when we try to do those things. So it's almost like we can kind of shed some of the things that we're probably not as good at, and then you can get back to that. Okay, where can I use where my bias is good? Where can I take in some more of that information? Where can I do that
Yeah.
relationship building? Where can I feel what the customers are feeling in the store? I love that. Of like, yeah, shed the stuff that we're never going to be as good as a computer at, right? We're not going to
Yeah.
crunch the hourly run rates, for every product across 12 stores. Our pivot tables
Yeah.
are trying.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you from kind of your perspective. This is a time of change. It's a time of change, just kind of globally on a lot of levels. It's a time of change technology with AI. Um, what I'm interested is like your patterns on founders, right? And
Mhm.
founders, you got brand, you got tech, you've got retail now. Everybody's navigating, AI in here. Like there's a lot of changes in our times.
Mhm.
That'll be fun. And we can't predict what the next one is, right? It might just be the next level of AI. But what do you see for the people that have already survived those big changes in the cannabis industry that were predate AI, that now AI is coming for every aspect of every
Yeah.
business? Like, what is setting these people that are still out here doing it, that are successful, that are finding this path? Like, from your
Yeah.
investor perch, what do you see?
Yeah.
Who's going to
Yeah.
make it?
Well,
What do they need
yeah.
to
Well,
do?
who's gonna make it? We're gonna make it. Yeah. Like I'm very lucky to have just be able to sit in the seat that I sit in and interact with all the founders that I do get in to interact with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And I understand. I've been an entrepreneur myself, and I've found myself like feeling like the blinders are on and I don't even know it. And I'm searching and seeking out like help, and I'm not sure who to listen to. And, feeling like, I'm on this as a founder or a leader in a business, like it's a lonely journey. This
Hmm.
entrepreneur, it can be really lonely. And so I see that a lot. And yeah, like, how is it going to work out? What are some of the characteristics that I see in founders that are doing better than the cohort that of like 300 plus founders that I've been able to interact with in the cannabis industry. So like one thing that I see is they have a balance of connection to and commitment to technology, like digital, but also analog, right? Analog approaches. So like think of it as a store. Like, do you focus on optimizing your tech stack and making sure everything's being run efficiently? You have the right pieces in that stack, but do you also understand how they interact with like the in-store experience and running your operation smoothly and making sure people are feeling valued and communicated to? So, you know, when someone comes into the store, the person who's checking their IDs is like pitching to get them on the loyalty list. And when the bud tender gets a notification, they have access to the tools, but they understand like they want to make the personal connection, right? So that analog, that sort of like human interaction is connected to the technology. And for the successful founders, I'm seeing that, right? And you know, it also can be like another way to think about like the successful founders that I'm working with is like they're in their business and they are very focused on what's working, but they also give themselves an opportunity and people on their team an opportunity to get away from the business. And they can go to the conference in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Or they can go to like an MJ Unpacked, right, event where
Yeah.
as a retailer, like you're walking around the show floor and you're getting to like see all the new brands that are coming out and feel like, I don't know, it's just like you can be in your desk, you can be in your store and people can come to you, or you can get out there and swim in, you know, the seas with everything that's going on and just get a different energy, right? You sort of get out of like your box.
Yeah. I think I told you when we at MJ Unpacked in St. Louis, which is the last time we had FaceTime, which is funny because we live probably 30 minutes from each other. But I'd said there because I was definitely in the working on the business, right? We went through a merger into the company and then bringing the product line to life. And it was like I woke up one day and it was 2 years later, and it's been almost 3 years, like you know, and it's but I woke up and it was like 2 years later, and I personally had been to the BizCons, but I hadn't been to a lot of the smaller events. And I hadn't been to the Missouri market at all. And I think I told you in that event, I was just like, oh, like people and business and humans. And I'm emailing all the time and I'm on Zoom like 6 hours a day sometimes, right? And like I'm having this conversation, I'm seeing people. And then it is just night and day when you get out in there and you're feeling the buzz. And especially like that Missouri market, I just felt in Michigan. And you know, it's like a difference between your digital, like LinkedIn is the water cooler or the conference versus like getting out there. Like LinkedIn is just like, you know, everything's negative for the algorithm and it's what's going wrong. And you feel like everything's terrible. And I got out in these markets and I'm like, there's business going on in here. There's like people running good businesses and there's people that are positive about the future of the business. And like, I felt that and like rode that high for weeks. I came back to the team and then brought that back to the team. And then we're like excited about all these things in these markets.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like it's retail is details and you can get sucked into it and feel like you're never climbing out of the hole of all the tasks that you're like digging and doing the work underground, like in the store. And it really, I think the founders that I'm seeing are the most successful are the ones that are like getting out of the business. Like they're not constantly in it. They're giving themselves enough time to step out and have and experience different energy. And you're right, you do bring back different energy to your store, to your people. And like events like MJ Unpack, they want bud tenders to come. They want inventory managers. Like they want the managers to get out there. And it can be like an incredible like community building event for your team to get out of the store together. Now you got to make sure it doesn't burn down while you're away, but like,
you got to have somebody there, right?
We all work really hard and this is good. I think the other thing that I would say about the founders that I'm seeing that are really successful are those that are like hyper responsive, like, and they're not afraid to make decisions. And they surround themselves and ask for help, right? Okay. So you can be reactive and like jarred by events and change, or you can be responsive. You can constantly be engaged. You can be constantly keeping your sort of like your advisor set, being in fluid communication with the people that are helping you be successful at business, whether that's your investors, your advisors, your key employees. And so when something comes up that's intense and you have to make a decision, maybe you made a decision, right? And then time has passed and it's becoming clear that that's you. It's not that it was the wrong decision,
Yeah.
but you have to make another decision.
Yeah.
The people, the founders and the sort of leaders that we see that are responsive and are in constant communication, they're not walling themselves off. They're making sure people are being heard and they're in communicate. They're just talking a lot with people about what's going on. Those that are responsive to the business are the ones that are being successful. So like if you're holding on,
Yeah.
to something and it's just like you're afraid to change, the cannabis industry might not be the right place for you. Like, I mean, this is one of the most,
Yeah.
it's an emerging market, one, right?
Yeah.
And last week, the landscape looked different than it does this
Literally,
week, right?
if you're a hemper, if you're in any of the hemp business, like that's just one example, but it's that all the time, right? Is those hits just over and over. It's Michigan excise tax, right? It's California with tax. It's everywhere. The legislation is coming faster. Yeah, it's you got to be able to pivot. And I like that. I mean, that's a good correlate for personal life, for business life. Like, pulling back, internalizing too much, it's never healthy, right? It just rots. Like, you got to get out there, you got to talk to people. And I'll say this as a founder who's like, I'm sure been guilty on that side, and then as like also experience it when you communicate, is like big things over communicated in real time like don't become as big when you're talking to the people about it. Like if they're aware of it, and then you're talking about it and you're talking about what you want to do, and everybody's chiming in on it, right? It comes to that decision time. The worst thing you can do is drop that. Here's a decision I want to make, and here's a pile of data around it you've never seen, and it's been going on for 6 months, and everybody's like, wait, they're catching up, right? And trying to absorb all of that. I think that over communicating, being open, and you kind of mentioned it before, like so much of this is lonely. Like, find those people, find those peers. If you got investors or a board, leverage them. If you don't, like, find the peers in there, right? Find the other lonely founders. That's actually how the Happy Cabbage, there's a lot more to it, but that's how the Happy Cabbage Zoltrain merger kind of originated. Is like Andrew and I were kind of those people in a peer way. We met at an early like Benzinga event, and then met through Canopy Boulder, and then talked for years. And we were like, hey, we see the world the same way. Like, we got the same view here. This is like really complementary. Like, it was almost like a co-founder relationship that found us. You never know what those peers will blossom into. They'll probably at least be a business partnership, but find those peers. A reminder here, we are going to have some Q&A, so for anybody listening, we've got a couple coming in there. We're going to fire those up pretty soon. So if you've got burning questions for what has to be the most experienced investor in the space, and I don't say that without the data, all the information you've dropped, Patrick, on the number of founders and the number of companies you've touched in this industry, I can't imagine there's anybody else who has had that much direct interaction. So it's a unique opportunity, you all, to get a couple questions in there.
From an question.
Go.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to go. I was looking at one of these questions.
Oh, yeah. As soon as you start looking at it, I think I've got like two things to tee them up. One, you're mentioning in-person events. For anybody on the call or anybody who watches this, you have also one of the better events in the industry for getting those peers into a room. So talk about it a little bit. Talk about what happens there. I've been in that room many times, so it's great.
Yeah. It's like you can, words are great, but actions, really can make an impact on people. And when we started Canopy Boulder, we wanted to make sure we would be kind of event driven and give many people opportunities to plug in at whatever degree and level that they wanted. And when, I started doing this latest fund with Poseidon, Emily and Morgan, and we were in COVID. And I think it was like, we're coming out of COVID, and we were like, I had this desire to sort of get people together. I was like, I wonder if people are ready to get back. And So I called the accountant and the tax and the lawyer person, and they're like, sure, we'll sponsor it. So got some tacos, got some cocktails, and we found an office. There was Skip Stone at Stash Logics in Boulder, and he could have an outdoor space, and it was incredible. People really wanted to get together, and I really focused on CEOs and investors and my network that I'm interacting with, like on a hyper active basis regularly, and that just sort of started to snowball. And so now I'm going to do a VC and CEO mixer at MJBizCon on Tuesday, December 2nd, 5 to 7 p.m. And yeah, I mean, it's incredible. This has taken on a life of its own. And what we try to do is curate a group, right? We really focus on licensed operators. This is your cultivators, your founders and CEOs are cultivators, processors, dispensaries. Last year we had 300 people. Everyone's personally invited by me. I'm like, I try to be the gatekeeper, make sure that, like there's a really strong ratio of operators to ancillary companies, just so that it's like there's like a safe space for these operators to get together and to talk, and like you and Andrew did, like commiserate and share. And because you know what, this industry is, it's like exploded onto the earth here, right? And it's like in like an instant, here we have hundreds, thousands of businesses. Over time, we will consolidate. And the people who build relationships one-on-one at the conference, over a cocktail, sharing like a pre-roll, they will be the survivors. That's the one thing that I saw very much in the natural products industry was, I met some of these founders, and when I started in 1998, and then I saw them merge their companies in 2000 or 2002 or 2003, 4, 5. And you could see the arc of their relationship develop into the next chapter that had them continue on and be more successful, or successful in a different way in the industry. And so, this is just happening. I keep it going. I can't believe I did 6 events this year. We do them at MJ Impact and the Benzinga. We'll probably do them at the Ignited events, and it's a great place to bring the community together and feel like I'm having a contribution or putting in effort and getting some return personally out of getting people to know each other better over cocktail or pre-roll. Like that feels pretty good. So I'm psyched to have Happy Cabbage's support and all the sponsors. If you want to like come reach out to me on LinkedIn, and if we can make it work, we'll make it work. So thanks for your support.
Absolutely. It's one of the best rooms, if not the best room in the industry, and an overwhelming event like BizCon, where you sometimes don't know there's this paid party over here, and then do I go to the trade show floor, and then most like I hang out the chandelier bar in the Cosmo, because that's where this business interacts, it seems.
Right.
If you want to be in the room, where it happens, reach out to Patrick if you're qualified,
or reach out to Danny. Danny is a sponsor. He has sponsor guests. Yep. You're an operator. You're
guest list. Oh man, I get the guest list. Come on.
Yeah, buddy. That's what it's about. Is like empowering everybody to build this community stronger and richer. And it's fun.
Yep. If you don't, I'm doing this in Denver. Our company is doing this. Our team is doing this. Our team is doing an event in Denver next week. If you're a Denver retailer, reach out to us. But what I would say, you did this. You talked about this as being a need, and this in-person being one of the critical aspects of success in your community, and like who is going to win in the consolidation, or who's going to be thought of. I see it over and over again. Our industry especially is one of the most in-person relationship industries I've ever been in. You mentioned that in natural foods, but what I would say to you all, if you're not going to be at BizCon, if you're in a local market and you don't see events like this, put one on. We just decided to do this in Colorado. There was not I went to all these great buyers and brand events. I loved them. I came back and I was like, 7 of our team members are here. There's great retailers in Colorado. I've been here, since the early days of medical in this market. Like, why aren't there events here anymore? What's going on? And then you look around and you're like, who should throw? Oh, I guess it's me, and you put it on. So take that and go
Right.
put on an event, people. Like if you need it,
Yeah.
Patrick's doing it, we're doing it. Go to these
Yeah.
events. If you
Yeah.
don't have one in your local market, put one on. Brad, I know we want to get to Q&A. I've got like one last question for Patrick that we'll leave as like our trail off, but I want to make sure everybody gets your brain power here. I'll rip through one that I saw that was most relevant, and then I'll let Patrick take the rest because he's the one here that people want to hear from. I saw here a question about like, are we able to work with like single store operators? And that was a question around happy buyers. We do have single store. We excel at multi-location. We're helping people open multi-location. Reach out to us. Have a conversation. If you saw something that was interesting here, like let's have a conversation. We absolutely have single store operators. We can help you. And the big thing we do, and I take this seriously because I still run most of the audits myself. I'll be the first person to tell you if it's not a fit. I'll be the first person to tell you that this isn't how you should spend your money. We need it to be a mutual fit. We're in it for the long haul. We are honestly in it for you to be successful. We won't be successful. Nobody's gonna have a good time if it's not the right fit in there. Part of the audit is we'll see the data, we'll talk through it, we'll see the opportunity, and then we can talk about, you know, whether it's worth it in there. So reach out, we'll talk. We've got time to talk to every retailer in this industry. We'll make time. Nobody is too small to have a conversation and look at, and we'll tell you. I
just want to point out one of the questions that that person also asked was, do we help you find products in the market? We don't. We help you make better restocking, reordering decisions, and ordering decisions based on your data. But if you want to find products in the market, we highly suggest taking a look at Apex. Our friends over there are doing incredible work with their wholesale marketplace. So that's the kind of place you would go to find new products. Or if you're in Colorado, check out Greenlist. They're doing it there too. Some pretty good operators out there.
Yeah, and we're looking. Well, we've got some friends at BDSA locally. We're looking at putting in some market data, but right now that we're operating off what we've seen in your point of sale. Patrick, I know that that's a key part you're always looking at as well. What do you see with your retailers? Where do you have them go?
Well, to answer, to like take a little different of a take on that question real quick though, like Brad, I totally agree with you. Like, you know, you guys are very focused on what you're doing and you're doing it in excellent fashion. But because it saves so much time, I would argue, because I've heard these stories of GMs and inventory managers like scared to go into the vault because it's just like this, like it gives them this like crippling anxiety. They don't know if they have the right products. They don't know if like, is that enough or do I have too much? Like, I think has that been aging? Like, am I getting the right data? And when they start using happy buyers, like that anxiety, that nervousness from the vault, which they know is a big number, right? That goes away and it opens them up to, you know, spend more time like looking,
explore the community.
Totally. Like, so you're technically right, absolutely. But I would just, through my own experience with like people running like one store chains or one store operations where, you know, it's like they're wearing 5 hats at the same time, right? And that can be, they can be like, you know, it can be really crippling. It definitely opens up people to have more time to look into the other products. And like, that's been very cool to see on teams that we've invested in. So anyway.
And we are now stealing that as part of our pitch. Thank you, Patrick.
That's right.
I was like, what would I do with my time? Is like, you have time to talk to the front of the line staff, to the customers in the store, to look at your market data reports, to have those vendors come in. And so you keep saying that like, these people are too busy. They're in that like horrible office with like the flickering fluorescent light. I've been in so many
windows in
rooms.
the vault.
I'm sorry for you all that is like your work experience, but you can literally get out of the vault and then spend that time in there. So I think that is great, and we'll show you when we get on there. There's a couple, I think, investing questions in here. One is more of the mechanics. So I see safe versus like price to equity rounds. And then I see some questions about like the different markets and what you see them in there. So Patrick, I'll let you jump on some of these from where you sit.
So do cannabis VCs use safes as an investment strategy, especially with early stage tech, or is it usually a priced round even at the early stages?
Yeah, you know what? Like when you're in the early stages and you're raising your seed capital, you got to be really mindful about how much money you're spending on your lawyers, your legal bill to properly document that investment. So, yes, safe notes, convertible notes have been very efficient documents to bring in early capital. And I would encourage, like as a bit of a hack, if you are a founder and you're putting money into the business to get it going, document it in a safe note, right?
Mm.
Because what that does is it documents the amount of money that you've put in. And the way you can structure the safe note is that that safe note converts in at the terms of the next round. So then it puts your capital alongside the next investor, right? Basically on the same terms, generally on the same terms.
Can I go
Like,
back and do that? Can I retroactively
yeah,
do that like 8 years
yeah,
ago,
sure.
please?
Like, Brad's got the time machine. Bring over the DeLorean. We're going.
That's a
Yeah, I mean,
fantastic
that's
tip,
like
by
a
the way.
hack. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
it's a fantastic tip.
yeah,
Where
because
we're
what
going,
you
we don't
want to
need
do
roads.
is, yeah, we don't need rats here. Um, so you can use these documents for yourself. That would be my first piece of advice for an early founder. When you get professional investors or people that do this all the time, who have a ton of experience, like, yeah, you want to make sure they're probably, they might come in a safe note. They might come in a convertible note if they're sensitive to the expenses, but they may
Hmm.
have rules for their investing that requires them to only do priced rounds. Like, I think that's one of the things that I would advise founders. Danny's heard this 1,000 times. We say this, like, interview your investor, right? Don't just like launch in and start pitching them. Like ask them questions, okay, hey, so tell me about your fund. What are you really focused in on? What kind of structure? What's the requirements? What's your timeline? How much capital do you like to deploy at once? And what are your return profiles? Like, do we fit? Are we a good pair, you and me? And start the conversation that way, so that you can understand if you need to launch into your pitch. And if you do, I can tell you nearly 100% of the time, that investor is going to be more interested in you and what you're doing because you've shown an understanding of what's going on and a curiosity that most founders won't exhibit when they
Hmm.
meet that investor.
Yeah. And I would say from the founder side, even through having Cabbage and through Zoltrain, previous company in this industry as well, and then I've got two prior companies that were investor backed before that. Um, the safes and the convertible notes are such a lower expense to create, to get the investment going. And if you need to amend them and modify, we're talking about how fast the cannabis industry changed, right? If you've got price to equity and then you need to
Mm-hmm.
go do down rounds or any of these horrible things in there, it's like those expenses every time are so large and it's so hard to amend. You're amending your founder agreements, your articles of incorporation, you're doing all these big
Oh my
documents with the
gosh.
company anytime versus a
Yeah.
convertible note, which is relatively light, which you can get amendments to in there.
Yep.
It's kind of, I would say, especially at the speed this industry moves, like stay in that as long as you can, right? Until you get a big investor that's like, that's worthwhile, that matches you, this is what's required for this next step. We're raising a large round. Let's convert the notes and get it in there. Like that timing will be right, but don't jump into the price equity earlier than you kind of have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Patrick,
Yeah.
compared to
It's
tough
expensive.
states like Florida and California and Michigan and Massachusetts, what states do you see operators thriving in the next 1 to 2 years?
I would call Michigan a market and Massachusetts a market where people are kind of thriving right now, even though they could be tough. But I'll let Patrick jump in on top of that.
Well, talk about shifting
Where,
landscape. Massachusetts has this like really scary thing that could occur
right.
in the regulations. So yeah.
So
Who
the
does
question
it?
is like, where, yeah, right. Where are we seeing operators thrive?
Or where do you
Um,
expect them, like in a little bit of like looking forward to next?
well, I mean, it's, I think that maybe we're beyond like okay, where do I think they thrive? Where markets? Markets where you have like if you're a cultivator, you're going to have you're gonna have a low real estate cost and a low energy cost. If you're a retailer,
Mhm.
you have like you're not surrounded by competition, and hopefully you're near like a large population base. So when I'm thinking of places like Kentucky, I mean, it's a pretty big, diverse state, and you have cities that are on the border of Indiana, you have cities on the border of Tennessee, right? You also have cities that are more west and they're near Illinois, and okay, so like those are very different, right? And then you have Minnesota, right? You have towns in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, right? And then you have towns that are on the borders of prohibition states. So I like those locations where you have low costs and access to prohibition states. Um, I think there's a lot like there, like maybe we'll see some movement in North Carolina, right? Maybe we'll see some movement in Wisconsin. This industry, the growth, the regular growth of the industry, because you see prices start high and then rationalize. Um, the growth has been driven by state legalization, right? So we need to like look to where we're seeing change, and that's probably where we'll see growth. Now, okay, once that happens, then it's about I got to be as efficient as I possibly can. I maybe could have just walked into the vault and felt nervous and said order everything again, and gotten away with it when it was a high price early market. But that does not last. Every industry, every market seems to follow the same pattern, and eventually you need to optimize really intensely if you want to survive and thrive. So I hope that
Yeah.
answers the question.
So we got one more question here. With the current hype surrounding AI, what sort of pitfalls do you see with companies or individuals either not fully understanding how to use AI or are on an over reliance on it?
I've been struck by the number of people that I've met that just haven't engaged. And it's not
Mm.
just entrepreneurs, it's folks that work in bigger organizations where there's like a corporate mandate not to use it.
Yeah.
Don't put anything about our business in ChatGPT. And that's, I understand that. And so thus there's like, there's still a fair bit of the population that doesn't use it on a regular basis. They haven't taken it beyond editing an email or something like that. Um, and I think that there's also like back to the conversation we were having before where there's like you can put in a great prompt and get something back, but is that the right answer?
Hmm.
Is it sort of has it not been is it a response that is missing something or straight up hallucinating? And then do you
Yeah.
implement that into like a mess? Like, so that's bad.
Hmm.
And then,
I see.
I think yeah, go ahead.
I see it in the app. Speaking of that, because we test a lot of it and we use a lot of it. I think a pitfall that I see a lot are like the app's just putting the chat widget in there and it's just like chat GPT and it's got some of the data
Mhm.
context and it's just like try to do everything with this. And it's just, it looks like an easy button and the results are poor. And it's not, you have to understand if you're going to implement it in tech, like how do your users interact, right? Like, I think about what I do. We get asked this a lot. Would I, with what I know about how buyers order $1 million of inventory in a week, would I say like, hey, ChatGPT, build my order? And like expect it to like create that order, right? Like
Please no,
we're
please no.
shaving cases here and there, which add up to $50,000. Can you
Yeah.
imagine like that leap of like, oh, well, and I see this from other tech vendors that are like, oh yeah, we're throwing AI in here and AI will do it. It's a chat widget, and I'm just like, that is not like the end all be all of. It's just a chat widget, And I think we're gonna quickly see in the next year this
Yeah.
conversational, like there's going to be other AI leaps and it's not just going to be conversational like LLMs. They're bad at math, by the way, because they interpret everything as
Oh,
text. It's a horrible thing to have them do
They're
anything
really bad at
related.
math.
Don't let them touch numbers, which is all we touch.
right. So I think that's even more reason for like the success of a business like Happy Buyers. The other place that I see like AI coming into business in the like kind of like not a great way is when, you know, service providers are just using it like willy-nilly, like they're like everything is like, what should my, you know, SEO keywords be? And it's just like, or like, what should my blog be on my website? And it's just like, okay, like you just sent me a blog post that had, it was like, what are the top 25 things I need to know about cannabis? And in
Yes.
18 of them, there are M dashes. And it's just like,
Yep.
stop it, you know, like give me like a little bit more. I don't like, I'm always worried about, you know, bad content getting out there, having a background in content. And
Yeah.
like you can create and refine your thoughts. It's not hard. It shouldn't be hard to put down your thoughts and then learn to use the tools to make it even better. And 1 + 1 = 3. But please don't do 1 + 1 = -2. You're going to lose my respect real quick.
Yeah, we're not talking about like a thinking entity that's an expert in the field. You know what I mean? It's just interpreting language that is most likely to follow after each other when you use it in that manner. So know that you're not talking to an expert in your field that knows more than you.
They may sound like it and make you feel
Oh
like
yeah.
you're
Oh
talking
yeah.
to an expert. You're the smartest person that this thing's ever going to get, but you may not be. Like keep
Exactly.
yourself in check. Use your good judgment to make best use of these tools. And you know, I think that's true for all technology, not just AI.
Yeah.
And it really is then the balance of like the analog experiences that you're having in real life and matching them up to optimize the tech stack. That's what we're talking about here. And I think that's like one of the things that's going to differentiate success from failure, especially as this emerging market matures and we have to optimize.
We very rarely run over on this webinar, but we just got hammered with questions this time around, y'all. Thank you so much for all the interaction. There are a number of questions we didn't get to, and for those who asked questions that we couldn't get to, we will respond via email to you afterwards to follow up and try to help you out to understand some of the answers to those questions. But in the meantime, if you want to reach out to Patrick, here is his info. I hope you're cool with me just blasting your email out here. If you want to reach out to Danny and ask him, his expert brain, not ChatGPT, some things about how to use AI to manage your inventory, of course, he will help you. And get that inventory audit, get that free trial in because it's free. Like it's literally no stakes there, right? See if it works. If it doesn't, cool. We'll shake hands. We'll walk away. We'll be friends. Maybe we'll see you at an event. But we hope eventually you will grow to a point where you will have the need for what we can provide. So anyway, I know there was also one other thing that we had on the agenda we didn't get to, which was like the 10-year outlook. Maybe what we can do, Patrick, is author a content piece on that together, and then we'll just share that.
We should brainstorm one. Danny and
There you
I'll
go.
write it.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Yep.
Let's go,
Yep.
Danny.
Just
ChatGPT
ask
will write it. M
ChatGPT.
dashes all through.
That's right. Thank you everybody for joining. This was a really great session. We'll probably have to have Patrick back on again, given the volume of questions and interest. So for us over here at Happy Cabbage, we appreciate you joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, Patrick.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you in Vegas.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye.